The Unexpected Revolution: How Adversity Sparked a New Era of Black Female Entrepreneurship. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to begin by acknowledging the remarkable work of Sonja White, whose groundbreaking research has fundamentally transformed how we understand economic power and resilience in America today. Sonia isn't just a researcher and advocate, she's a visionary whose meticulous documentation of Black women's economic journeys has unveiled one of the most significant yet underreported revolutions happening right before our eyes. Her commitment to capturing these stories isn't merely academic, it's a profound act of bearing witness to transformation that challenges everything we thought we knew about who creates opportunity in America and how innovation truly emerges. What Sonia has uncovered isn't just interesting, it's revolutionary. Her research reveals how Black women are transforming setbacks into springboards, creating a renaissance in entrepreneurship that defies every expectation and stereotype. Today, I want to share what I learned from Sonia's groundbreaking work. Because sometimes the most profound transformations emerge not from ideal circumstances, but from the very challenges designed to hold us back. We've all heard the troubling statistics. In April 2025 alone, Black women lost over 106,000 jobs nationwide. Anti DEI policy rollbacks have decimated representation in corporate America. Traditional employment pathways are shrinking. These are sobering realities that would crush most spirits. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Despite these formidable barriers, or perhaps because of them, Black women are not retreating. They're advancing. They're not just surviving, they're creating. They're not just participating in entrepreneurship, they're leading it. In 2024, nearly half of all new businesses were started by women. And among Black owned businesses, women founders outnumbered men. This isn't just a trend, it's a seismic shift in who creates economic opportunity in America. As Sonia White's research demonstrates, what we're witnessing isn't just resilience, it's reinvention, it's revolution. Now, conventional wisdom tells us that entrepreneurship thrives when conditions are optimal, when there's abundant capital, supportive networks, and minimal barriers to entry. We assume that the path to business ownership requires privilege, connections, and a safety net. But what if that conventional wisdom is wrong? What if adversity itself can become a catalyst for innovation? What if the very systems designed to exclude can inadvertently spark the creation of something new and transformative? Let me share three stories from Sonia's research that illuminate this counterintuitive truth. In Atlanta, Dr. Angela Morris was working as a hospital physician when COVID 19 hit. As hospitals faced financial pressure, layoffs disproportionately affected Black staff, including Dr. Morris. Suddenly unemployed during a global health crisis, she faced a critical choice: keep searching for increasingly scarce traditional employment or create something new. Dr. Morris chose creation. She noticed that while she had lost her job, her community had lost something even more vital: access to health care. Using her severance pay and borrowing from her retirement, she launched a mobile health clinic serving underserved neighborhoods. The challenges were immense. She had minimal startup capital. Investors were skeptical. Traditional funding sources were closed to her. But rather than seeing these as insurmountable obstacles, Dr. Morris found creative solutions. She secured microloans from local nonprofits. She leveraged social media for low cost marketing. She partnered with local churches to reach patients. What began as a desperate pivot has transformed into a thriving practice serving over 10,000 patients annually. Her mobile clinic has expanded into preventive care education programs and has inspired similar models nationwide. Dr. Morris didn't succeed despite being pushed out of traditional employment. She succeeded because of it. Her firsthand experience of systemic exclusion gave her insight into community needs that more privileged entrepreneurs might never have recognized. Consider also the story of Keisha Brown, a former STEM teacher who grew frustrated watching her students struggle with curriculum materials that didn't reflect their experiences or cultural backgrounds. After years of trying to work within the system, she decided to create an ed tech company focused on culturally responsive curriculum tools. The venture capital world was not initially receptive. Keisha faced repeated rejections from investors who dismissed her vision as a niche market concern. This reflects a broader pattern Sonja White documented. Female only founding teams received just 2.3% of venture funding in 2025. But Keisha refused to accept this limitation. Instead of abandoning her vision, she joined accelerators specifically focused on underrepresented founders. She built traction through grassroots teacher networks before approaching investors again. She demonstrated demand before seeking supply. Today, her company has launched pilot programs across 3 states and is helping shape state level curriculum standards around cultural inclusivity. The very investors who once rejected her are now seeking to participate in her success. Then there's Tanya Johnson, whose story perhaps most directly illustrates the phenomenon Sonja White has documented. Tanya spent over a decade in federal HR, advocating for diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. When anti DEI policies led to widespread layoffs, Tanya found herself unemployed alongside many colleagues who had dedicated their careers to creating more equitable workplaces. The emotional toll was significant, but Tanya recognized something crucial. While government agencies might be abandoning DDEI initiatives, private companies still needed this expertise. She used her severance pay and unemployment benefits as seed money for an HR consulting firm targeting small minority owned businesses needing inclusive hiring practices. With no established client base outside the government sector, Tanya faced daunting obstacles. Her solution? She tapped her LinkedIn network aggressively and offered initial workshops on a pay what you can model to build relationships. Within 6 months, she had landed contracts with 3 fast growing startups. Today, she employs 4 other professionals who were displaced by the same policy shifts that affected her. Tanya has become a keynote speaker at industry conferences on inclusive hiring post layoffs. She's setting a precedent for other professionals transitioning out of public sector setbacks into independent consultancy roles supporting equity goals. These stories reveal a profound truth that contradicts our usual assumptions about success and opportunity. We typically believe that systemic barriers prevent achievement. We assume that discrimination and exclusion inevitably lead to diminished outcomes. We expect that when traditional doors close, people are left with nowhere to go. But what Sonja White's research reveals is something far more powerful. Sometimes exclusion from existing systems becomes the very catalyst for creating new, more equitable ones. This isn't to romanticize hardship or suggest that systemic barriers are somehow beneficial. The challenges these women faced were real, painful, and unjust. But their responses to these challenges reveal something important about human potential and the nature of innovation. When existing systems fail to serve communities adequately, those most affected by that failure often possess the clearest vision of what needs to change. When traditional pathways exclude certain groups, those groups don't simply disappear. They forge new paths that may ultimately prove more innovative and responsive than the ones that excluded them. This pattern extends beyond individual success stories. It represents a collective reimagining of what economic participation can look like. It suggests that the future of American entrepreneurship may be shaped not primarily by those with the most privilege and access, but by those who have been most systematically excluded. Of course, significant challenges remain. Access to capital continues to be a critical hurdle. As Sonja White's research shows, female only founding teams receive just 2.3% of venture funding as recently as 2025. Black women entrepreneurs face a double bind of gender and racial bias when seeking investment. Community support networks, alternative funding strategies, and advocacy for equitable investment remain essential. The playing field is far from level. But what's remarkable is how much has been accomplished despite these persistent barriers. So, what does this mean for how we think about economic opportunity and innovation? First, it challenges us to reconsider our assumptions about where transformative ideas come from. The next world changing business model might not emerge from a prestigious MBA program or a well funded tech incubator. It might come from someone who was pushed out of traditional employment and forced to reimagine their path forward. Second, it invites us to expand our definition of what constitutes favorable conditions for entrepreneurship. Yes, capital and connections matter, but so do lived experience, community knowledge, and the unique perspective that comes from navigating systems not designed for your success. Third, it suggests that our approach to supporting entrepreneurship needs to evolve. Rather than focusing exclusively on helping underrepresented groups access existing systems, we might also recognize and support their creation of new, potentially more equitable alternatives. The revolution that Sonja White has documented isn't just changing individual lives or businesses, it's fundamentally altering our understanding of innovation itself, is forcing us to confront a powerful truth that the future of American business may be shaped most profoundly by those who have been systematically excluded from its past. I want to challenge each of you today. Look around at who you're investing in. Look at who you're mentoring. Look at whose voices you're amplifying. Are you recognizing the revolutionary potential that emerges from the margins? Are you supporting those who aren't just adapting to existing systems, but creating entirely new ones? Because here's the uncomfortable truth: if you're only looking for innovation in familiar places, you're already behind. The most transformative ideas aren't emerging from privilege, they're emerging from necessity. They're being created by those who couldn't find a place in existing structures and decided to build their own. This isn't just about equity or inclusion as moral imperatives, though they certainly are that. It's about recognizing where the future is actually being created. It's about understanding that those who have navigated exclusion possess insights and perspectives that those who've only known inclusion simply cannot access. The revolution is already happening. The only question is whether you'll recognize it, support it, and learn from it, or whether you'll be left behind, wondering how you missed the transformation happening right before your eyes. Thank you.